or 12 after, there was like nobody here, and I thought, where is everybody? And all of a sudden, whoosh, you guys all came in. Well, welcome, and thank you for being here. We're 2 minutes late, but I'm going to talk for just a minute to let some more people come in. Thank you for coming. Welcome to our capstone evening. I'm going to talk about the capstone just a little tiny bit. I'm not going to talk for a long time because you really want to hear the kids, right? Well, they're not kids. They're young men and women that are going to speak tonight. So a capstone project showcases the knowledge and skills students have gained over their years of education here at Veritas. Each student selects a current topic or issue. They research both sides, all sides, the conversations that are happening around their particular topic. They pay particular attention to what the opposing view might be, because a lot of times when you start researching something and you have a position in your mind, once you do the research, you might change position. Okay? So it's important to look at both sides of the issues that they're presenting. The capstone project is set apart from other writing projects in that it requires the student to search for the truth, to order their thoughts with goodness, to present their final paper and oral presentation with beauty. So truth, beauty, and goodness are at the heart of the things that we do here. I'd like to start with prayer. If you guys would bow your heads, please. Father God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for the beauty of this day. I pray, Lord, as we step into these presentations, that you would still the nerves of our students, that you would bring to perfect remembrance the things that they've studied, the things that they've written, the things they want to communicate. I thank you, Lord, that the things we do here are honoring to you, and I pray that that in truth is what happens. Thank you for who you are, and mostly for your Son. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, I would like to introduce Catherine Watkins. Would you please come up, Mrs. Watkins? Mrs. Watkins is our rhetoric teacher. This is her first year in this position, and she's loving it.
Yes.
Right. But probably services the kids, because this is her first time to watch her kids play. So she's going to share just a little bit more, and then we'll start with our first presenter.
I too just want to thank you all for being here to support our seniors. The capstone is really the culmination of their education here at Veritas. They have learned and researched and done so much to put together these presentations. I pray that you would just be open to hearing them. Once they are done with their presentation, they will go ahead and we'll open the floor for some questions that may have arisen in your own mind during their presentations. Part of the capstone experience is to be able to think on your feet and to answer questions with eloquence and poise. So please ask your questions as they come up during the Q&A. And I would also just introduce our first presenter. Our first presenter has been a Veritas student since 3rd grade. Please join me in welcoming to the stage, Charles Neshy.
A young child named Miles sits on the edge of his bed, holding onto a worn-out teddy bear. The room is dimly lit, casting shadows that seem to mirror the uncertainty in his heart. The house, once a place of warmth, comfort, and laughter, now is quiet. The sounds of family dinners, weekend getaways, have been replaced by silence and separation. Miles remembers walking through the living room where his parents used to sit together. Now there's just one parent with the world on their shoulders. Tears flow through Miles' eyes as he thinks about the recent goodbye. He remembers the moment his parents sat him down to explain the divorce, using words that felt too heavy for his shoulders to carry. Miles wishes for the days when the family was whole and the future seemed bright. In the quiet room, Miles hugs his teddy bear tighter, hoping for a sense of comfort and strength for the days to come. Family counseling will help Miles overcome the grieving process and will help him navigate how to live in a shared custody situation. Divorce is a regular occurrence in today's society. A divorce is defined as the action or instance of legal separation in a marriage. The causes of divorce are financial struggles, domestic violence, infidelity, lack of commitment, or having opposing values and morals. Divorce is most culturally acceptable in cases of domestic violence or adultery committed within the marriage. According to the CDC, the current divorce rate for women is 1.7%, which means that for every 1,000 women, 17 will be divorced at some point. Since the 1980s, the U.S. doubled their divorce rates and is currently at an all-time high. With over 50% of all marriages in the U.S. ending in divorce or separation. Making up this statistic are 41% of first marriages ending in divorce, 60% of second marriages, and 73% of all third marriages ending in divorce. The U.S. has the sixth highest divorce rate in the world, with Russia being the first. Divorce brings destruction to the family, causing separation and grief. To have a successful marriage and family life, God must be at the center. In 2 Corinthians 6:14, Paul says, "Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. For what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness? Or what fellowship has light with darkness?" When a marriage fails, it is often due to couples being unequally yoked, and is one of the leading causes of divorce. Though it is often called irreconcilable differences, then leads to custody issues. Custody is the immediate charge and control exercised by a person as an authority. The two types of custody are full and shared. Full custody is when one parent has primary custody of the child or children. Shared custody is an arrangement in which both parents share legal and physical custody of the child. A single parent is a parent who lives with a child or children with no husband, wife, or partner present. In the U.S., 19 million children live with a single parent, while 15 million live with both parents. Establishing custody is a serious issue because it impacts the child's future. Custody issues need a standard to be appealed to in order to positively shape a child's future. The standard being God at the forefront and center of the custody situation. There are honorable and dishonorable aspects of custody, whether full or shared. The honorable aspect of shared custody is when both parents work together and have a system in place that works smoothly for the children. The dishonorable aspect of shared custody is when both parents refuse to work together. In full custody, one parent has a lot of freedom when making decisions regarding their children, but they lack the support of a partner and often experience financial difficulties or emotional exhaustion. Because of these unfortunate aspects of single parenting, shared custody is the best option for the children, especially if parents pursue family counseling. These aspects need to be addressed for the children's sake to make sure they are set up for success. Because in today's society, parental separation is normal. Family counseling should be required in a shared custody situation, as it will help provide security and support for the children, will develop skills for the parents, and bring the family together overall. When a loved one passes away, the traditional thing to do is to get together with family or friends and remember their life. The opposite happens when a marriage ends. There is no memorial service, no funeral, and no burial. You must simply move on. The reason divorce feels like a death is because it is. It is the death of a marriage and partnership with that other person. When marriage ends in divorce, the thought of being together till death do us part is disrupted and replaced with a grieving process. The process of divorce can be deeply painful as it disrupts daily life, impacts family dynamics, and forces an adjustment to a new reality. Children in a shared custody situation need a sense of security and emotional support in order to feel safe and balanced despite the changes happening around them. Children face big challenges that can be confusing to them when bouncing between homes. Some of the challenges that children face are being unable to handle their parents' divorce in an emotionally healthy fashion. Cultural religious differences between households, and lacking the coping skills necessary to be able to handle this situation. As divorce is like a death and can be seen affecting parents' lives, it also affects the children's lives. Some children react to a divorce in an understanding manner, while others may struggle with the new reality they are forced to live in, which can cause the children to lose focus and be easily distracted. Children will start to feel overwhelmed and become angry or irritable. They may present this anger and rage to their parents, friends, and even themselves. In these situations, guilt starts to settle in for the children, which may lead to depression, stress, and anxiety. This is why children need counseling so they feel a sense of security in a divorce situation. Cultural and religious differences can also impact a shared custody situation, as these differences may add dimensions of hardship to an already challenging situation. These differences can impact the style of parenting, values, and daily routines of the family, which sometimes leads to increased tension between the parents. Navigating these differences is crucial to providing a healthy environment for the children. In order for this to happen, parents must have open communication with each other. A structured schedule that works best for the children will also help the parents balance their cultural and religious practices. For example, one parent can take a child on a specific holiday and vice versa for the other parent. This way, the children can experience and appreciate both cultures and religions. This collaboration can only happen if the parents work on their communication to make these events happen. If the parents can come to a mutual understanding of what they know is best for their children, it will relieve pressure off the children. Since divorce is like a death, and there are cultural and religious conflicts that can arise between households, counseling is essential to providing coping skills for the children. During counseling, children will be able to learn how to express their emotions and communicate properly. The counselor will be there for the children to help them navigate through this tough process. The coping skills provided during counseling sessions will offer a sense of security for the children, which will in turn help them transition more comfortably into a dynamic created in a shared custody situation. Counseling will help the children's emotional and mental health and ensure the children are safe and supported. Counseling is beneficial for children in many ways. One of the ways, since shared custody can be emotionally draining for the children, counseling offers a space that is safe for them. In these types of situations, children often face confusion, sadness, anger, or anxiety. Children cannot face these problems on their own, and often their parents are dealing with these same emotions. So a trained professional can help bridge the gap for these children. Counseling will provide strategies for the children to maneuver through stress and uncertainty. They will improve the children's communication skills, enabling them to express their feelings in a proper manner to their parents and others, rather than lashing out verbally or physically. Counseling matters because the children cannot do it on their own. They need someone to lean on other than their parents. The counselor does not have to be just for the children either, but for the parents as well. The counselor may help provide valuable input into the children's emotional and mental well-being. Pursuing counseling ensures the best outcome for the children in a shared custody situation. Counseling will not only help the children in times of distress, but it will help the parents on another level. Counseling will teach strategies for conflict resolution, help establish rules in each household, and will teach the parents to communicate properly. Parents will gain knowledge from a professional to tend to their emotional needs. The counselor will help the parents to find new ways to work together and create a stable environment for the children. Counseling will equip the parents with tools they can then use to navigate through challenging situations. Being able to communicate properly is one of them. To be able to express themselves and understand each side as it is. These tools will help lower conflicts and confusion between parents, which leads to effective communication between parents that will benefit the children tremendously. The trained professional will work through a couple of techniques the parents can learn to communicate effectively. If the parents don't communicate properly, it will be a sinking ship. Being able to communicate properly means being able to listen to each other and really understand each side as it is. Just because the parents are separated doesn't mean the communication shuts down. At this point, their communication needs to be at an all-time high. And if it is, respect and courtesy will follow, creating an environment that is best for the children. With being able to communicate effectively, parents will be able to address conflicts peacefully, figure out both sides, and come to a resolution. Conflicts are going to happen, especially after a divorce. But it is the way these situations are handled that matters. The parents need to spend time with a trained professional to come to a consensus, to say they are going to work together for the betterment of their children. When conflicts are resolved, it brings such a peaceful environment that the children will have hope for the new reality they are forced to live in. The counselor may include role-playing exercises, allowing the parents to practice responding to conflict scenarios to help them with navigating through different parenting styles and de-escalate a situation as much as possible. This is why having a trained professional is needed, because the parents need a mediator to step in when they are getting off track and give them good guidance as to what they did right and to where they can improve. With the counselor being present, parents will be able to establish rules for each household so that the children can live in a consistent and stable environment. When parents establish rules, it shows the children what to expect and what not to expect, no matter which parent they are with. Consistent rules will lower confusion and anxiety, and the mental and emotional well-being of the children will increase. If there are no rules set, here's what will happen. Regardless of which parent the children are with, they will do anything They will do anything to get what they think they want. The parents must explain to their children that each house may have different rules. But what is important is that the children obey. This is where we go back to the fact that the parents need to work together for the betterment of their children. But once there is consistent schedule and rules set for each household, it will be a smoother process, becoming the new normal. Family counseling sessions will help bring the family together. Even though the parents are not together, it allows for honest communication amongst all the family members, and the counselor will help restore broken relationships inside the family. If the family decides to pursue counseling, they will see a major shift in their family dynamics in healthy ways. The process will help individuals develop empathy and a mutual respect for one another, and help the family be equipped with the right tools they need to maneuver through future challenges effectively. This will strengthen bonds and create a healthy environment. Family relationships can be strengthened even if the parents aren't together. If the family maintains communication, shares experiences they have, and provides emotional support to each other, their relationships will flourish regardless. If you're in contact with them on a daily basis and support each other from afar, the bond will never break, no matter how far the distance. In counseling, parents can structure their style of parenting to establish consistent rules and routines. Consistency will help the children have strong relationships with their separated parents. Consistency of the parents being there for their children through thick and thin will create a strong bond. Distance and separation will not break that bond. Family counseling will have times where all participants need to express themselves and how they feel about a situation. In order for this to happen, all family participants need to be actively listening and grasp how they can all work together to do what is best for their family. The whole purpose is to create a sense of uniformity and responsibility in the counseling session. It will build trust and make sure that everyone is heard and understood. With open discussion, the counselor will know what areas need improvement for their family to thrive. Counseling will also help the family resolve conflicts because it will be a place where everyone can discuss these conflicts, and the counselor will be there to mediate so the family can talk it out and find a solution. It will help family members challenge assumptions and find common ground. If the family creates healthy boundaries, respects one another, and has a negotiation and compromise system, the conflict will be resolved and their bonds will strengthen. The family cannot figure it out on their own. The parents and children all need help. That is why family counseling should be required in a shared custody situation. There are some cases where both parents do not want to attend counseling. Their relationship is so broken they feel like counseling is not worth it. Some parents are hesitant because they feel as if family counseling will not be effective. They doubt that a counselor can help resolve their family issues. They believe that their problems are too complex or overwhelming for a counselor to handle or address effectively. But why is it about the parents and how they feel? Shouldn't it be for the betterment of their children? When the parents first had their children became their most important priority. Everything they do from that point on is to make sure their children are taken care of. It doesn't matter if the parents like to go to family counseling or not. If it's helping their children deal with the grieving process better, that is the parents' only option. The children's well-being, emotional health, and development are the top priority for the parents. Ensuring the children feel loved, supported, and understood are crucial for their growth and happiness. By focusing on the best interests of the children, the parents will have created a positive environment that helps the children overcome many obstacles. While consistency in rules between households in shared custody situations is preferred, some argue that children can benefit from experiencing different approaches to rule setting. Different parenting styles may not be a negative thing, as it could teach the children resilience and adaptability, helping them to navigate through different expectations and rules. This may prepare them for real life scenarios where they will encounter different situations. Each parent brings unique strength and values to parenting that enrich the children in many ways. As long as parents maintain communication and support, the children will thrive. Family counseling can be expensive, which is a significant hindrance for families seeking help. The high cost of counseling is due to the level of expertise the counselor has to offer, their education, and their specialized training they were put through. Many families do rely on insurance to help pay for counseling sessions, but many companies put limitations on this coverage that often restricts families from pursuing future sessions. This affects low-income families in need of help but are struggling with the cost of each session. For some families, the financial aspect may seem to surpass the potential benefits family counseling has to offer. It is true that sometimes family counseling can be expensive, but the benefits outweigh the costs. The investment into family counseling can lead to long-term improvements in the family, such as communication, conflicts being resolved or minimized, and overall family relationships strengthening. With these improvements, families can prevent more serious and potentially costly issues later down the road. Many counselors are willing to work with the family to find a payment plan that will fit their budget. But at the end of the day, having a healthy and peaceful family is priceless, making the investment of family counseling worth the time and money. First, I spoke to you about what children need to thrive in a shared custody situation, which then led to a consideration of how parents can develop better skills to assist their children. After examining the benefits of family counseling, we logically were compelled to analyze the potential downfalls of family counseling. Let's think back to Miles. What if Miles' family pursued counseling? Would he have experienced what he experienced that night, hugging his teddy bear as tight as he could? Would he have been in a better state of mind walking through his house? If they pursued counseling, the future would seem bright, not dark or lonesome. Family counseling will help Miles with his big emotions in an emotionally healthy fashion, help his parents to communicate with him and one another better, and provide them with ways to strengthen their relationships despite not being together. If you are dealing with a shared custody situation, please take the steps necessary to pursue family counseling. It provides invaluable tools to help you through the tough times you are going through. Working together with a trained professional can create better communication skills, reduce conflicts, and create a peaceful environment for your children. Don't wait for your problems to pop up before you reach out to a family counselor. Take the first step towards a healthier, supportive family. And remember, it's going to be okay. Thank you.
At this point, we would like to go ahead and open the question and answer session for Charles. Question, just raise your hand and I will call.
Chuck, did you do any research in the percentage of shared custody versus single custody?
Full custody, sir?
Yeah, full custody.
No, not comparing them, no, sir. For percent differences, no, sir.
And did you look in your research of if the full custody kids did better than the shared custody kids, or did?
No, I did not research that at all. I specifically was focusing on shared custody. I just had to touch on full custody. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Kind of taking a little off track here, and I apologize up front for that. So you talk about following your presentation, which is good, by the way. I really appreciated it. Seen a lot of broken homes, covering broken homes, so it's neat to see someone address that. My question is, we talk about the idea of mandatory counseling for families after divorce for the benefit of the kid.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna make it mandatory. What are your thoughts on making it mandatory counseling before parents can divorce?
Like you're saying before marriage?
Yeah, so we're gonna pass the Band-Aid to the actual healing of the situation. If we're assuming that a lot of problems stem from parents divorcing, and we're gonna make something mandatory, why don't we back that up and make it mandatory before the divorce
Before
happens?
marriage?
Yeah. What do you think about
So,
that?
I know a lot of Christian couples who did counseling before their marriage, and I know couples that did not do counseling before marriage. Obviously, the preferred method is to do counseling before marriage and have a flourishing marriage and relationship overall. But you have to make sure that your spouse or significant other is equally yoked with you and your values and morals. So if that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
What I heard him asking is the mandatory aspect of counseling that you're advocating for. That should be backed up for during marriage, not before they get married, but before they
Oh,
divorce.
sorry. Were you saying during?
I was saying before parents choose to divorce.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Is
Okay, so
if
before.
if we're gonna make mandatory counseling for parents after divorce for the kids, should we not make the counseling mandatory?
To see if it can still be saved.
Yeah, save the marriage. Marriage
I agree
counseling
with
to
that.
try to save the marriage.
Yes, sir. I totally agree with that. Yes, before everything goes to hell.
Well done. Very nice. Excellent topic.
very, I mean, like, it's just hitting home all over the place, and you did a really good job.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I do have two questions. One is, do you have any, evidence, facts, or information on how often does counseling actually come into play for children after divorce and or families? I would love to know any statistics you might have on that.
I don't know any numbers off the top of my head. I didn't do any research of like how effective. Is that what you're asking? How effective?
Not necessarily how effective, but how often does it
How
actually
often does it
occur?
happen? I'm not too sure about that. I can't speak on that. I don't know how often it happens. I'm just making it a requirement that it should happen.
So then my follow-up question would be, in making a requirement, would you put that at the judge's level of when a divorce is, you know, confirmed or whatever? Okay, you guys can have this divorce, but now you're required to have counseling.
I would put it at the judge's level for sure. No doubt about that.
Thank you.
I got a twofold question for you, Chuck. Great job, number
Appreciate
one. The first question is, what do you think the role of the church should be in this situation? And the second is, did you study the type of counseling that is offered? And was there any evidence that counseling provided a greater rate of return or a greater health benefit to the kids in a divorce situation? Like, is there any statistics that you could kind of apply to this? So is there a benefit to counseling? We know it sounds good, but is there any statistical evidence for it? And then second, what's the role of the church in this?
So the role of the church, I believe, if I have a significant other and we're going through problems and we're thinking about divorce, I feel like we should go to the pastor. And the pastor, who's the leader of the church, should offer us, himself, or whoever the pastor is, counseling, or a member of the church counseling. The church should be the first place you go to if you're having marriage problems. That is no doubt about that. To answer your second question about if it's like if counseling is more like the statistics of if it's being beneficial, I don't know numbers like that. But in my research and reading stories, counseling, in my opinion, it outweighs than when you don't do counseling. Because if I have my significant other and we don't do counseling and we just do it on our own, it doesn't work out as smoothly. It works out, but it doesn't work out as good as it will with counseling. If that answers your question. Yes, sir.
You talked about compelling the parents to do counseling. What if it's the child who's refusing or unwilling to do counseling, depending on the age?
If the child's unwilling to do counseling, then the parents can obviously go. And if the child is like at a point where he's like, I don't want anything to do with counseling, and that's fine. The parents can learn with the counselor how to, like, if that makes sense, like the counselor can work with the parents to bring the child in and offer him like a sense of security and support in those types of situations.
So it'd still be mandatory for the parents, but the child.
If the child would like to, yes. But mandatory for the parents for sure, because they're with. Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to divorce situations that involve domestic abuse, where do you think counseling should come into play? Because both parents, I think, in situations with domestic abuse shouldn't be allowed in the same room because it's unsafe for both the parent and the child involved in the situation. So where do you think counseling should come in?
So you're saying domestic violence was an issue? So if domestic violence is an issue, one parent should at least pursue counseling. It shouldn't be like them together, but it should obviously be separate. Where it doesn't have to be the same counselor. Like let's say the guy is abusing the woman obviously, but the guy has mental issues, he's abusing her, blah blah blah. He can go to a different counselor to get his mental issues corrected, while then he can go to an actual family counselor to figure out what she needs to do to help her children. So if that answers your question. Yes, ma'am.
So I have two questions. The first one being, what do you have to say concerning families of, let's say, minorities where single parent or divorced household are more common? In which communities counseling, mental health, all of that
So if you have a family, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this right. But if you have a family that doesn't want to pursue counseling but should, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so like just culturally, whatever, they look down upon counseling.
Oh, I see.
What would be their solution?
If they look down upon counseling, then you have no, like, that's their decision. That's what they chose. If they don't like counseling, it should be mandatory, but if they don't like the fact, they don't have to do it. If that makes sense. It should be mandatory by law, is what I'm saying.
Okay. And then, kind of going off of that, what about families who the parents are together long enough that it's kind of like common law marriage, but they weren't legally married, and now they're split up with kids, you know? It's
Oh,
not,
they
they're not
weren't, they weren't legally
so-
married, I see. Then, yes, counseling would be different. Like, if it's not by law, they can also pursue, like, family counseling doesn't have to just be through law by marriage. You can also do it if you just have a boyfriend, girlfriend, and you have a child and it doesn't work out.
Should it be required?
Yeah, I would think so, but that's also their choice. Yes, ma'am.
How long would you say the requirement for counseling consists of for the child or the family? Is
For
it
both
like
the child-
a 1 year period, 2 year period, ongoing?
I'd
What
say a
would
good,
you say that
I'd say a
would
good year. A good year period would be the best for the parents and the children. And they can have sessions where the children and parents are all together, and they can have sessions where it's just the parents, and they can have sessions where it's separated parents. You know what I mean? Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering, when you're researching it, you're looking at the kids who are going through counseling and the parents who are going through counseling. And then in the ideal world, they're all becoming healthy, they're all learning to communicate with each other. Did you read about them falling back in love and creating this
Oh,
home
yes.
life of a stable environment just because they went through the steps to solidify,
Oh.
you know?
For sure. The
Yeah.
successful rates are pretty high. If you pursue counseling, if a marriage couple pursues counseling, they will see a bright future. But that's if they choose to be consistent to go. That's if they choose, if they both parents want to go. That's if the child, like, and it's a collective effort. Like, not one parent can just go. Like, one parent can go, but if it's they want to have a whole family, the whole family has to be there. Yes, sir.
I have two questions as well, but I'm gonna start with kind of piggybacking off of that last one. So previously, if I heard you correctly, it sounded like you mentioned 4 various reasons why families get divorced, right? So to kind of go off of that, if out of those 4 reasons, if the couple wasn't seeking counseling prior to a divorce, why would they be willing to do counseling following a divorce?
So if they're not willing to do it before the divorce, but they're willing to do it after, is that what you're saying?
Right,
And you're saying my 4 reasons of why divorce happened?
right, so if I heard you correctly, I thought I heard you do
Yes, sir, I
4
did.
different reasons. So of those 4 reasons, we've already mentioned one would probably not be an ideal situation where the 2 are in the same room together. I would challenge that and say, but they're in a monitored environment. So they could be in a counseling together in that scenario. But going back to it, why would they agree to do, even if legally mandated, to do the counseling post-divorce if they weren't willing
To do it
so
before?
prior to divorce?
I think before they're still trying to see if they have hope. And then once they've lost the hope, then that's where they're like, oh, we need to actually like take this serious and we need to like figure this out. Because like before the divorce, like before the papers even come, they're still trying to like figure it out on their own to see if there's still life there. But once they see the signed signatures on the paper, then they're like, oh, we need to, if we want to make this work, we have to do this. We have to take this step. If that answers your question, sir.
I'll let it go. So next question, sorry, second question. Did you look up any statistics on the frequency of families that actually engage in post-divorce counseling?
I don't know
What was
numbers.
that statistical number of families?
I I don't know specific numbers about that, so. Yes, sir.
This is the last question. Make it good.
If counseling is required for couples with children, should they also have to pay for it, or will this be provided with the state? And if so, is there any way to guarantee good, honest counseling that's not, quack counseling just to get money from the government?
So, to answer your first question, or second question, how to make sure that it isn't quack, your words, quack counseling. I would say the couples, and I say it in my paper, the couples need to pursue counseling with God being at the center. And so with that comes with the Christian counseling. And that, I believe that is the only way counseling will work in this situation. What was your second question?
Well, then in the situation that they don't get it from their Christian family, should they have to pay for this counseling because it's not cheap?
Yes, should they have to pay for it? Yes. If that answers your question. Because should they have to pay for it? Yes. I think I'm understanding this. Run it by me one time.
If it's required that even if they aren't married, they still have to have this counseling due to the fact that they have a child or children, are they required, no matter where they stand on a social level, to pay this, pay for counseling? Because if
If you have the right counselor, and if you find the right counselor, they will work with your budget, and they will work with you.
But in the event that they are, I'm gonna say poor, they're just going and they have to legally find advice. Can't they just get a really cheap guy or pay a friend to do counseling?
If that's what they feel is best.
Doesn't that not help the child though in that event? That the parents are
If
cheaping out?
the parents feel that this not so good counselor is going to be the best example and the best counselor for their children, yes, they can pursue that.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, I think those are really insightful questions. If you mandate it by law, then you should pay for it, right? So you want the government to pay for it by mandating it, so it's a good question. And it's a discussion that could go on probably forever, there's a lot tied into this, which could go on forever. Mrs. Gavin, you had one more
I
comment?
just want to
Yes,
say you
ma'am.
did a great job. I think
Thank
it's
you.
a very important topic,
Appreciate
and thank you for bringing this up.
Thank you. No problem.
So officially, I will say, Charles, your capstone project is complete.
Thank
You
you.
are All right, our next presenter will start in about 5 minutes. No, exactly 5 minutes, not about. So if you need to get up, stretch, get a drink of water, I'll turn the lights back on down there. The restrooms are down the hall this way.